I just can't take no pleasure in killing. Just some things you gotta do. Don't mean you have to like.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
You want to know what happens to an eyeball when it gets punctured? You got any idea how much blood jets out of a guy's neck when his throat's been slit?
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
What up, everybody? DJ Nubis here with you in the Tavern Ray podcast with my co-host, Ghoul brother from the Ghoul mother, Mr. Tony the Dead, and we are the Ghouls of Midnight, episode 52. And of course, I know people are a little confused because usually we're alternating right away, but we kind of got lost when we did the 50th, and so it's just back to back for me. But we still have Tony's pick coming soon, obviously. So when we're done here, we're going to record his. So we're going to get back on track a little bit just in terms of alternating our picks. So we're good. And I did it a little bit different this time. I approached our movies a little bit differently this time. I think every once in a while we kind of throw in something that's not necessarily horror or thriller or anything like that. This is more just a bit of a dramatization type film, sort of like what you did with your Nicolas Cage one a while back.
Yeah.
So every once in a while we throw something in the ringer that, even though it does have some dark moments in this film, it's something I thought that, Tony might like and appreciate. It's a very early role for actors like Sean Penn and Tom Cruise and Timothy Hutton. So obviously I'm talking about the movie Taps from 1981. Also features the legendary George C. Scott in the film. And basically it's an American thriller drama film where you have an academy, military academy that's run by Harlan Bosch, played by George C. Scott. And they're in the midst of having their academy closed down because there's some realtor developers that are coming in that want to use the space to make more housing and stuff. And, really at this point, you can kind of get the vibe from the town that they're not super crazy about the military or have their kids like become soldiers. It's like a whole, it's almost weird because it treats it almost like if you were to have like a Native American reservation and how people kind of view that, like they're, we don't talk about those people. That's sort of how this school is kind of treated. But before we get into our actual review of this, let's go ahead and revisit the trailer for 1981's Taps.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been informed that Bunker Hill Academy is to be closed. An end to nearly a century and a half of tradition, and an end to the heart of us.
Sir, how can they do this?
With the stroke of a pen, sir. Their field of honor was a desktop.
The lady said the proprietors ordered the school closed. Now, as I see it, we are the proprietors.
You tell us where you put those weapons, or this will be the sorriest day of your life.
All right, we have 3 demands. They're very reasonable. When they're met, we'll be happy to return every weapon, every shell.
You say we. Who else?
Number 1, I want a meeting with General
Put your
Bench.
hands behind
Now,
your
you
back.
stay where you are, Sheriff. Everyone in here is here because they want to be here.
Our son would not be involved in something like this.
Lady, if my son can be involved in it, your son can be involved in it.
My men, our tanks, our helicopters, we will take this campus.
So anybody who isn't 100% sure of what we're doing, take 1 step forward. Attention! Forward! Forward! Major Mullen, he's our man. Major Mullen, he's our man. They don't scare us, do they, Charlie?
No, sir. Me neither, sir. They don't scare me.
What in God's name did they teach you in here?
You and I have nothing more to talk about.
And there you have it. Interestingly enough, it's the opposing general when that comes in later, where they're trying to retake the military academy because obviously the youngsters have taken it over, and we'll get to that. But I recognize the opposing general as the guy that's from the RoboCop movie, the very corrupt businessman.
Yeah.
Now I remember because obviously I watched this like before I went to Maryland Death Fest, so it's been a week, but I've seen this a few times, and I don't know when you watched it, but
Last night.
What was it?
Last night.
Okay, good. And I can't remember though, because initially when I watched it, I sent you a link to it, and then I realized, oh my God, this is an edited version. This isn't even the real fucking version. So I think we found one for you. And I think, is that the one you watched?
I watched the second one you sent me.
Good.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as time has passed with this film, there's some things in it that would strike people differently than it would back then. And so obviously that has something to do with the death of young kids.
Yeah.
But the first version that I watched totally changed that. And so when I was watching it, because really for me, one of the reasons why I wanted to watch this is because I knew that ending would have an impact with you, with people in general, because it's not really what you expect from this kind of film.
Yeah.
So basically, you have these young cadets, you know, they're being trained just to be soldiers. It's almost like ROTC in a way, but just they actually use live ammo at this academy for certain testing and stuff like that, for practice and all that. But as I said, they're being forced out by realtors, and they only have like a year to get their stuff in order. They want the kids to graduate and, you know, to do it nicely. Then they have like a prom or something, or some sort of an engagement for the academy. And, you know, you got girls coming in from somewhere else, maybe from the town or from other schools or whatever, but their girlfriends come in at their dates. And all of a sudden you get these redneck unrulies who show up, and they don't like the soldiers. They don't, you know, they're just there to cause trouble.
Yeah.
And, you know, these are all youngsters who are meant to be trying to be adults, and so they're put in positions like guarding the walkway to the building where they're having this engagement. And so a fight breaks out between the townies and the guards, and all of a sudden our main guy, George C. Scott, General Baugh, he comes out here and he's trying to break it up. You know, he doesn't want his kids behaving in this manner.
Right.
Now the thing is, because he is a soldier and because he represents, you know, soldier life and everything, he actually had his gun on his belt, but he took the clip out. It was just mainly for show.
Yeah.
Problem is, he did the one big no-no, didn't check the barrel, and it had one shot. So as he's wrestling around with one kid, a fire comes off and kills off one of the town kids.
Yeah.
This now turns into like, okay, you know, the general ends up having a heart attack. He's stressed about what he did. He's very upset, and he's in the hospital. But that now leaves the school with nobody commanding it and running it.
Yeah.
Your first impression.
Should be pointed out too that he didn't just fire the gun. It was the kid would try grabbing it out of his holster, and
correct.
So it's not like he just fired it. It accidentally went off. Yeah.
But he didn't realize he didn't check the barrel, so he was shocked that the bullet came out. So, but yeah, he was trying just to break it up, and then one of the kids from the town tried to reach for his gun, and that's when they were wrestling and shot the other guy.
Right.
But yeah, so what was your initial feelings or vibe when you started watching this?
I kind of was thinking it was going to be more like the movie Toy Soldiers in a way. But it's like a mellowed down version of that. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest. I mean, it was pretty convincing that they were the military school. Like, even though I knew it's Sean Penn and Tom Cruise, that the marching and the discipline and everything, it was like, I didn't look up anything how they trained or like, you know, whatever for this movie, but they obviously had some military training because everything was like perfect.
Yeah, I read, I don't remember if it was Cruise or Hutton, probably Cruise. They had actually studied academies and how they would march and dress and how they handled their clothes. So like, you're right. You're watching these guys and how they fold their uniforms. They're, you know, it's just down to the T of how they would address one another as, like, again, these are kids, but they address each other as adults. Like, it's like they're more mature.
Yeah.
It's very kind of scary too, because you do have that scene from the trailer where the opposing general's like, what are they teaching in there? And you don't realize that they're teaching them to be a soldier. And even though it's a very young, and that's where some of the scarier part comes in. It's like they're not necessarily brainwashing them, but when you're raising kids from a young age that, you know, like war is life and defending your nation is life, it hits differently in different age brackets.
Yep.
So in our real life here, I don't know about military academies across the nation, but I would assume like we can't be drafted or go into the military like we're 18. Like you can't do it any sooner than that. So that's why a lot of kids in high school that I went to, they did ROTC, which was just a watered down version of that. And even then, I remember some of them kind of taking it really seriously, which, you probably should, because if that's what they're going to use to platform into the military, then great.
Sure.
So this kid dies from this interaction, and now it forces the town to speed up their process to shut down the school, because with Batch being in the hospital, there's nothing else left to say. The kid's dead.
Yeah.
But Timothy Hutton's character, Major Brian Moreland, who actually got promoted at the beginning of the film, he's now figuring, well, we're the proprietors of the school. Like, this is our place. He still wants to have that year at least to prove that they should keep the place open. So he does kind of like, he takes the advice that he learns and kind of twist it into a way that's like, hey, we need to stand our ground. This is our school.
Yeah.
So the way he's looking at it is like, he's kind of filling in for the general. He's like, he's not here, so I'm going to take the steps to try to hold on to the school. Unfortunately, that means using force. And so instead of turning over all the ammunition, the guns, they're now arming themselves. This is becoming like they don't want it to be hostile, but at the same time, they're going to hold on to it until they get, or at least heard, as he calls it, their ultimatum of what they want to do with the school and how they can try to save it.
Right.
We obviously got, again, Sean Penn. He's Brian's good friend, Alex. And then Tom Cruise is David Shawn, who's very gung-ho. He's friends with them, but we also see he's very loose cannon. Like he has no problem like getting crazy if the crazy is necessary. And so they take over the school. They close up. They put all the fucking bags out. Like they've got everything they need. And they, Brian asks a lot of the recruits, like, if you don't want to be here, you can leave the gates. We're not going to be mad.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, we feel like we're doing the right thing. We're trying to hold on to the school. We're going to do it this way. So you're either in or you can walk. And so this happens a couple of times throughout the film where he's asked, because obviously you see the trailer, the parents start coming in and getting involved. Like they're really worried because they have kids there. And so they're like, well, they're being held against their will, but a lot of them aren't.
No.
And obviously the cops can't do anything. They're trying to get them to come out, but luckily there's no like firing right away. No one's like shooting anybody. They're trying to be reasonable.
Yeah. They're like telling them like, yours are going to be in trouble. Like, we're going to take it by force,
Yeah.
Like you.
And that's where the military comes in.
Like
it's
you
like
have 100 people.
National Guard,
Yeah. Yeah. Like they have 100 people. It's basically like an army.
Yeah.
And, he said something like somebody else did it with 10 people, like, or something. I forget what he's talking about. 10 people did it, and he has 10 soldiers, and he has 100 soldiers. So it's like, but yeah, it gave him a choice not to, if you don't want to be here. And I think some of them were too afraid because obviously they ran during the night.
Yeah.
And, the parents start getting worried and everything. And it just turned into a real horrible situation. But it's funny too, like, because then even in every day is like they do their schedule, they do what they're supposed to do. They come out, do their things in the morning, marching and all that shit. And it's like, wow, they're totally disciplined.
Yes.
Like to do this.
And then of course, we get to a moment where, which is really kind of the turning point in the film.
Yeah.
There's really like 2 or 3 very young kids that are part of this school. And so surprisingly through most of it, they were pretty disciplined, as you said, like they would stay and stay with the group. But one of them clearly is realizing that he's still a kid and he doesn't want to be there. He's just like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he runs at the wrong time. He's running towards the gate. And you have to understand, they've brought in tanks and shit. So, like, they're sitting right at the gate. Like, this is serious shit, you know? And so, in the midst of the panic and everything, the military outside think that he's attacking them. So, they shoot the kid. And this is a turning point for Brian Moreland. He's like, okay, I can't do this anymore because a young boy is dead. A friend of mine is dead. A soldier that under my command is dead, and not for a good reason.
Yeah.
But before he can really resolve that, David Sean, played by Tom Cruise, he's up in this corner part of the building with his M60.
Yeah.
And he just loses it. He just starts firing. Like, he's just filleting shit.
Yeah, he shot at what's his name from RoboCop.
Yeah.
And
He actually got him too. He didn't kill him, but he got him.
Yeah.
And he's like just going nuts. And so both Brian and Alex are running up to try to stop what's going on because he knows it's going to lead to a bloodbath. And when they get up there, unfortunately, Alex is dragging behind Brian. And so Brian gets up to the room where David is, and you get this great line by Cruise. He's like, "Isn't it great, man?" He just starts firing again, but they fire back and they just rip apart that room and kill both David and Brian in the process, which leaves Alex kind of like mourning over his friend.
Yeah.
Then you get that. I can't remember, and I always try to remember. He's carrying him out of there, right?
He carries him out.
Yeah. And it's a very somber ending to this film. And of course, you see even the people on the outside, the military, the cops, and the parents are all very sad about what has transpired. So it was interesting because you never watched the other version. The other version was very interesting because and I don't know if it was supposed to be fan made or not, but the way they put the ending together on that film, they took out the deaths of the young boy. They had a little bit of the fire back and forth, but they said that they started putting up like a narration that said after a few hours of fighting, the military on the outside gave up and the school was saved. And then they showed like the cadets back in their church or whatever is and having a ceremony celebrating the savior of the school. And I'm like, this is not the film I remember. So
I don't think that happened.
Right. So I immediately went back and tried to find the other version, which you did see. And I remember that because that one is the one that strikes home the most. And so I kind of understand, but I think also, I don't know if this was a Disney movie or not. I can't remember. Something told me it might be because that would explain why they changed the ending because they didn't want that in there with the kid dying.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I can think of that, but I don't remember if that was the case. The good news for the film is it cost $14 million to make, but it did make $35 million at the box office that year. So it just struck me interesting when I watched this because it was one of those times when I was young in my teens and it must have showed up on HBO Box or something. And I just sat down and watched it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. It's kind of the same feeling I had when I first saw by the late 80s, I'd seen a lot of the Brat Pack and stuff like that. But when I went back and saw stuff like The Outsiders and you saw all these young faces that would end up becoming big in the 80s and 90s, like, wow. So this was similar to that because I'm like looking at these faces. I'm like, dude, I recognize him and I recognize him, you know? So overall, like, what is your overall feeling of this film now that you've seen it?
It was slow. I'll be honest. It was kind of slow. It's interesting though. Like I said, I was more interested in how convincing they were that they were actually in a military school. Like, even though I know, like I said, I know it's Tom Cruise and Sean Penn, I saw past that and I could see that they were, in this military school doing it. Like, I don't know. It takes a lot to be able to see past that. And I did think that they all did an excellent job. I thought that, you know, the acting was great and everything, but it was slow at times. Very, very slow. Really, if you think about it, what did they accomplish? Like nothing.
Right.
Nothing. They did not. And what did they think was going to happen? Where if like their demands were never going to be met, who's going to pay for the school? You know, and also you stole military stuff. It's not like you're not going to jail. You fucked up your entire last year. Like,
Yeah.
and I know you didn't see it that way, and I get why they did this. They want the school to stay open. They just went the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I knew going into this without even seeing it that some kids were going to get unalived. And when that kid ran up to that tank and he's going, "Don't shoot me! Don't shoot me! I want to get out." And then the gun dropped and the gun went off, and that's why they
Yeah.
started firing. The other friend
Right.
like ran, and that kid got. Oh man, I knew something was going to happen. And Tom Cruise's character, I knew he was going to be that guy that did that because he knew he's like you could tell he's like, fuck this, I'm not giving them the school, and then he knew he was going to die. He knew he was.
He was itching for a fight. We saw it kind of earlier when they were out in town with the truck trying to get rations for the place, and they were starting to get bullied by some more locals, and Cruz comes out, just fires the machine gun at Scotty so they can get out. Yeah, it's like, dude, you just know that at some point either he was going to lose it or he and Brian were going to become facing off at one another, but you just didn't know what until it happened. And so
in everything that's going on, like toward the end of the movie, he even says to him, like, when this is all over, you and I are going toe to toe or something like that. Come on, shut the curtain, cat. And it's like, man, he's a fighter. He's a frontline military brained kid. I'm sure they never showed his parents, but I'm sure his father was like the same way, like military.
Yeah, I can't remember because it's been a while since I read some of the backstory on all this. But I thought that they had said that Tom was supposed to be the lead, so he was supposed to play Brian, but when they kind of saw how he was doing some other character work, they said, you know what, you're probably better off as this guy. Yeah,
he did a good job.
Yeah. That's the cool thing when you kind of watch these younger guys back then, because you can kind of see where the greatness came. And look how great Tom is now, like all the things he's done.
Yeah,
you could see it then. Like he's like, okay, this guy's special. He's got something going on. He knows what he's doing.
He was disciplined even back then.
Yep.
And it shows from what I read about him that he's great to work with. Like if you see he does his stunts,
yeah.
And they say he actually helps out and everything. So I could see him being like that back then too. Like he just, I don't know, regardless of what he believes in,
Right.
But other than he's fantastic in this movie. Like it's crazy. And then like you have Sean Penn, really young, but one of the guys, Giancarlo Esposito, who played J.C. Pierce, everybody might know him from Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. I did not recognize him at first, and then I saw some other character. I'm like, who is he? Where is he from? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh my god, that's what's from Breaking Bad and Mandalorian, all that shit. Holy crap, that's crazy. Like I didn't know he was in movies back then. Sometimes I think they get their start really late. And I didn't know he was in Taps. Well, I never saw Taps before, but I didn't know he was in this from 1981. And the other guy that like kind of pointed out that I recognized was Evan Handler, who played Edward West. He was the other guy, one of the friends that quit on them, and then they were talking shit about him.
Yeah,
I remember I saw him in Californication, and he's a funny bald guy in that, and perverted and stuff. So it's funny to see him in this with hair, and he was a likable character in Californication, but like he also was kind of likable in this. Like they're all kind of likable, to be honest, in their own way.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Great cast. Like great cast. That's for sure.
Yep. So, what is your rating for Taps?
I'm just gonna go right in the middle and well, not in the middle, but I'm gonna say 6.
Okay.
I did find it, like I said, very slow. When I saw 2 hours, I thought, "Oh my god!" And then that
And it's kind of
ceremony
strange.
was forever.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you would think, because I was thinking about like how certain scenes probably deserve to be fleshed out more than others. So, like, you brought up the ceremony scene, like they could have cut that down, but say it could have been this moment where that young kid was killed and have Brian kind of like go and talk to the kid. Maybe he's still kind of alive, and then he, finally passes, and then all of a sudden we
Yeah.
have David start freaking out upstairs. But they don't really, once the kid's dead, it just jumps right into the other shit. So it's like, damn, it's like we didn't get to really soak in that moment as much as we probably would have with
Because
that.
he's
So
like,
being,
"It's over, it's over," and they're all
yeah,
yelling, "It's over." Everybody's like glad it's done for. Like nobody's like hesitating except for Tom Cruise.
right. Yeah. So, like, obviously back then I probably would have rated this a bit higher. I mean, I still really enjoyed this film because as you said, there's a lot of great performances in it.
Yeah.
It does fail a little bit as far as like the structure of the story. But it's still going to rate up there about like an 8 for me. I still enjoy it enough that I can watch this from time to time and still enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's not like a perfect movie by any means at all.
Especially not that first version that you said about.
Oh, dude, if you had suffered through that, you'd have been like, what the fuck did I? Because, like, especially if you watch this one now and then go watch that one, you're like, what the hell did they do?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to believe that this would be a Disney movie. Of course.
Yeah, I
look
don't
at Disney
remember if I
now.
got that right or not, but like it immediately, like, that's the first thing that came to my mind because I'm like, who would do this and why? Like, and this had to be like a more updated version of, somebody had done it more recent years to do this.
Yeah.
So either, and I can't imagine a fan just saying, I don't like that part, so I'm going to change it to something else. So somebody somewhere actually did this edit, and I think it's actually on DVD somewhere. Someone has actually done it.
Yeah.
So whoever was the studio that did it, either they're caving into the idea that we just can't show this because of how dark it is, or if it's Disney, they would just do that. So that's why it came to my mind. I don't know for sure if it was Disney. I can't remember what I looked up before I left for MDF, but
Yeah.
I was like, once it started happening, I was like, wait, what are we doing? This isn't the movie. What is this?
Like, I don't remember this shit.
Right. I'm like, all the good shit's out. What are you doing?
I don't know why I get everybody's, sensitive now and shit, and people don't want to see stuff. But like, if you don't want to see it, do what we used to do. Cover your eyes, fast forward it, or just don't watch it.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing what happened in this movie either, but it happens.
Right. And, again, like, I've seen movies in the past where animals are tortured or hurt. And
Yeah.
I can say, yeah, I've seen this movie, but if you're going to ask me what I want to watch it again for that reason, no. Like, I've seen it and I'm done with it. Like, I don't need to go back to it. There's no reason for that.
Like Cannibal
But
Holocaust.
I'm not asking people to like censor it out or change it. Like, there's no reason for that either.
Right. Yeah, it's just I don't know. Have a warning. Hey, something like that. But like, even then, that might attract more people. Like thinking about the Strangeland with the whole warning label on the CDs.
Yeah,
like you said, it's a badge of honor. It's good. There, people are going to be more attracted to it. Maybe people will be more attracted to this, but
That's
not like
happened.
anybody. People, I don't know. Kids and animals are one thing, but like adults getting tortured or something, nobody gives a shit.
Right.
They live their life.
So we are going to be doing your video soon.
Yeah,
but I do have my pick for next week already.
Okay,
and it's going to be 1961's The Naked Witch.
Ooh,
yeah. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Again, this is another one of these films where I kind of got a few glimpses of the film while I was in bed and overnight, and I woke up and like, okay. I don't know what's going on, but I kind of intrigued. So
Yeah,
I get to watch it in full with you. And then, have you seen it before?
I never even heard of that.
Neither did I. So it could turn out to be bad, but it could be a gem. We don't know. So that's my pick, though. But do you have anything else that you're doing that's coming up?
I've kind of been thinking about my channel, and I mean, you could tell it's basically just been Ghouls.
Mhm.
But I think I'm just gonna be Ghouls anymore. Like, it's just gonna be Ghouls. I'm not doing unboxings unless a friend sends me something, but I'm not worried about Vinegar Syndrome unboxings. They don't get any views anyway. So I'm just like, I'd rather just, plus I don't want to, like, I know it's all behind me, but like, I don't want to announce like, hey, this is what I just got. And, maybe somebody does some bad shit and robs me or something. I don't want that.
Right.
But yeah, it's just gonna. I don't have anything planned except for Ghouls, and I'm happy with that. I'm fine with what I do.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know how
For
you
me,
guys do it, man. Constantly uploading shit. I'm like, oh my god.
it's tough. But then I don't do half the editing you do either. So, and to be, to give you props, like your edits are great. So the way that you do your Ghouls segments are very nice. I enjoy those a lot. So
Thank you.
tomorrow
I enjoy
for
editing
me,
that too.
yeah, but you don't want to do it full time. So
No,
I
I
get
do like 8 videos of it, just one.
that. Right.
It takes me 8 days.
Right. Tomorrow, I believe at noon my time, Kaiju Connections with Kevin Lambert. We're doing the Bermuda Deaths from 1978, I think.
Mhm.
TV movie with Carl Weathers. So we'll be reviewing that. And then later in the afternoon, I'm getting together with the Professor Daniel Miller for my next Vintage Cult Cinema. And we're going to do the Boondock Saints.
Cool.
From 1999. And then Saturday, Neko and I will get together around 2 p.m. Eastern to review our Maryland Death Fest from 2025 that we got back from and show some of our little toys and merch and stuff that we got. And then later in the evening, get together with Olvin for the Silver Screen Savants, and his choice this week is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh,
Chitty
cool.
Chitty Bang Bang. So yeah, I haven't seen that in many years. So have to revisit that and then go review with him on Saturday. I think Neko might be with us, but I'm not sure yet. Either way, thank you all for checking this out. Let us know your comments and how you feel about the film if you've seen it. And
yeah,
also we enjoy your support on the Ghouls of Midnight. We really do. So hit the like, subscribe. Please go like and subscribe to Mr. Tony of the Dead. And we'll see you for episode 53. Which is a good doozy, let me tell you. See you later.
Bye.
Just before you